Okay, welcome back to another episode of Cartoon Driving Podcast or Driving Cartoon Podcast. I don't know, podcast go at the end. So, I shouldn't be talking right now. I'm unpacking. So, but if you have noticed, I live in Chile, and in the moment of the recording of this, we just have an 8.3 earthquake. Yes, that's actually a very strong earthquake. It's not the strongest I have lived in my life. That will be for the 2010 earthquake, call it which was 8.9. And the main problem with the Richter, for trying to understand the Richter, is the fact that an 8 earthquake is about the double of strong than a 7th earthquake. So everything over 6 is pretty much a catastrophe everywhere where it at. It also was in the middle of the sea, which obviously means tsunami, and we have to evacuate. And this time, actually, it was pretty cool. And I'm not going to say anything to say that, but because these things are tragedies, are always tragedies. Someone died. At the moment I have read, 8 people died. 3 of them were the respective old people who died out of a heart attack. I understand. But in terms of disaster, at the moment it doesn't seem to be as bad as it was the one from 2010. Made me somewhat hopeful that we actually learned a lesson. But the main problem with that is the fact that the last earthquake with tsunami we had was 5 years ago, and after that one, the last earthquake with tsunami we had was 40 years ago. So yeah, it's not like we did something incredible. We just did what we need to do because we are an extremely seismic country, and we have those earthquakes almost every. This is something funny because linguistically, I always always have a problem when I talk in English, because you don't have a word for temblor. You have earthquake or quake, and we have 2 words for earthquake. We have temblor, which is a minor tremor, and we have terremoto, which is the cool, scary sounding like. And you put all the earthquakes into the same category. So every time there's a 6th grade earthquake in California, and all Californians are like, "Oh my God, there's an earthquake," I'm like, "That was a tremor." Okay, then you have two words, but I don't think you actually know the difference between us. The other thing that I noticed, that linguistically, you don't have a word for cerro. You have hill and you have mountain, but we have something in the middle, in between hill and mountain, which is cerro. And in Chile, that's important because I live actually next to the Los Andes, which is a very big line of mountains. It's not that big at the average, but we have some pretty cool things there. And near to the Andes, you can see mountains, but near where I actually live, which is something a bit far away from there, you see cerros. But for you, those also are mountains. So it makes me uncomfortable because I can understand the difference between the Aconcagua and the Aconcagua, which is the biggest mountain in America. I think, I don't remember exactly. I think in the South Cone at least, and I think in America, but I don't put my hand on fire for that. I can check out now. And so I have a difference between this and a difference between the mountains I see always. So when I see you call something a mountain, which was pretty funny when I was living in Phoenix, they have the Camelback Mountain, and I was laughing in my head. I was just laughing because that thing wasn't a mountain. That thing was a cerro. But then I realized that, hell, you don't have a word for cerro. So yeah, it's a mountain. I just did something illegal. Don't do that in your home. Seriously, I should have stopped, I think. Or passing to second. Don't do that. I'm a bad person. Okay, I'm not a bad person. I just did something stupid. But that doesn't mean it's bad. So, yeah, so I have those linguistic problems. The one I always remember is the fact that we have two ways to refer to someone in second person. We have tú and we have usted. And usted is the formal version. And I talk with absolutely everybody that I do respect even a little. If I'm not totally comfortable with someone, I'm going to call them usted. I'm comfortable with my parents, so I call them tú. Impressive. I should call them my parents instead, but I call them tú. And once we were in the Telltale forums, but that was years before they did The Walking Dead. We were in the Telltale forums, and we have some conversations with the developers, and I really was concerned because I didn't know usted is the polite way to say tú. So I didn't know which one there was the polite version of you. And I actually was pretty concerned. I had a very strong problem trying to figure out the words. And it turned out that you is actually the polite version. I have been calling everybody usted in English all my life. What? No, the linguistic problem was the fact that apparently you have a singular version for the second person, which is you, thou. You read that a lot in a bunch of parodies and Shakespeare parodies. And that was the impolite version. That was the common version. And you, which is also doubles as the plural, it was the formal version, the polite version. And for some reason, you guys are so polite that the only one we survived was the you. You are pretty sneaky. So yeah. And earthquake. I was reading Twitter mostly because this is the thing. This wasn't as strong as the Conception one. But this was pretty strong. It was a minute and a half long, and the strongest the earthquake is, the longest it moves. So I was super scared. Nothing happening at my house, by the way. Absolutely nothing happening. All my family is completely alive, and there's a reason of why I'm driving the day after an earthquake. Because I feel it's completely secure to doing it. I'm not that stupid. I'm smart. But I'm also pretty impulsive. So, the main reason I knew this was an earthquake in the moment it stopped because it was a minute and a half long. But at the same time I knew it wasn't when I was, because it wasn't that strong. It was just long. It was really long. I had feel earthquakes that strong, but they're short. So they're usually 5 or 6 near to my house. But this one was extremely long, despite not being that strong. So it cannot be where I am. It has to be somewhere else. And true to fact, it was from Illapel. Perfect. The good thing is, we don't have too many debts, and that's good. I think at the moment I can still count count the debts with my two hands, which really doesn't leave too much of a margin there, because they were 8 in the last moment I read. Probably gonna get higher the more I discover missing people. I'm actually quite positive about this thing, because yes, it's a tragedy, and I always have to say that it's a tragedy, but at the same time, this wasn't that horrible as the one for Concepcion, because to the short explanation I did for the Richter scale, the Concepcion one was basically 0.5 times higher than this one, almost to 1. But we're right. At least in my region, we are all right, and I'm pretty sure we're going to celebrate the September 18 without problems. So, okay, we're gonna talk about cartoons. I know. I like to talk about earthquakes because it's my way to relax after these things happens. When was the earthquake in Concepcion, and at the same time in the Total forums, I posted days and days and days about information about earthquakes. And the funny thing is, after the earthquake in Concepcion, a month after, there were an earthquake and a tsunami in Japan, and absolutely everybody forgot that we existed after that, and I was so pissed off. I was so extremely pissed off that day. But yeah, you don't know anything about us, but you know a lot about Japan, so you like Japan better, despite that actually Japan didn't have the half of that we had it. I'm serious about that. Wait. No, me tengo que correr por adelante. Muchas gracias. Have you noticed that I didn't stop the recording for pay my dues? I'm sorry. I'm going to stop the recording next time. So, yeah, I like to talk about earthquakes, especially when something like this happens. And nobody seems to pay too much attention because they really don't understand what it actually means to me. I can talk about earthquakes with Chileans because everybody knows how that thing works. In the moment you live your first earthquake, you are immediately educated about how the Nazca plague and the South American plague work. So, no, you know how you at least have the basics. At least always have the basics. The poor guy that actually I'm more worried about in at least where I live, when it would be absolutely nothing happens except in the coast, because we got a tsunami. It's the fact that people who were not used to earthquakes, and they don't like to look at them too much. They got an earthquake when they're in Chile and they don't want to come back. And when I'm all like, oh my God, you just have bad luck. This doesn't happen. This just happens every once in 10 years at least. Okay, this one was pretty early, but still, we're not so bad. They're always super scared and they always want to go away very, very quickly. So right now the airport must be collapsed, like entirely collapsed. But we're gonna be okay. We're always okay. We're always okay. So let's talk about something lighter. I don't know, I have to remember Wander every time I do this. And it's not the fact that my mom was trying to tell me that I have to be more concerned about whatever is happening. Because I told her at least the day is nice, and she told me this is an apple day, and I was like, the sun is out there, everything is blue, the earth is not moving anymore. Let's have some positive. No, she just wanted me. No, according to her, I was completely naive, and I should realize the monstrosity what just happened. And I'm like, Mom, I have an abnormal capacity to realize other people's pain. I don't know how to share it. No, actually, I have an enormous capacity to feel other people's pain, but in the moment, but it's difficult for me to realize other people's pain. So I make up by being extremely uncomfortable and almost crying with them. And also, I'm scared of earthquakes. Yeah, I was born in the best country in the world for me. But look, I know a lot. I'm scared of earthquakes, but I know a lot about earthquakes at the same time. I'm actually pretty used to some things. So if you put me, I don't know, I go to New York and suddenly I have a snowstorm, I will be way more concerned about that than absolutely everything else that could happen in an earthquake. So I'm trying to remain positive and remind myself that everybody believes that's a big thing, especially my mom. I want to see the positive part of this, which is extremely a tragedy and it's extremely difficult. And quite frankly, I don't see the usefulness of feeling extremely sad when absolutely nothing happened to me. But at the same time, since I'm in treatment for depression, I really don't know if I can go and help other people. So the best thing I can do is shrug off and come back to work what I was doing. I'm going to go back to what I'm doing, which is probably the best way to handle tragedies. To do what you have to do. And this is my point, and probably, and that's I guess that's the main reason that the main message in Wander Over Yonder is be nice and not really help until your heart. And that's the main reason of why Wander goes around with Sylvia everywhere. Because I was thinking yesterday about, before earthquake thing happened, I was thinking about their names, because a lot like their names. But I suddenly realized that it was something that come from the last episode about Mario, in which Mario, at least by Llamesmolo's concern, is defined for what he does and not for how he is. I realized that Wander is literally named after what he does, which is actually pretty interesting. It's even more interesting by the fact that it probably wasn't his birth name. I'm not going to say it's his real name. It's not his real name. That's silly. It's not his birth name. In certain moment he changed it. Unless, oh, this is why we got away out of the. When it's like, Wander, that's interesting. That's an interesting name. Well, but funny story. It's not really mine. You fill up the blanks. unless somehow he was not going to say that's not really my name. And this is something I found funny, because most of the characters especially have their names as puns, because it's the only way I can think Prince Kashmir make any sense as a name. And or as verbs or common substantives. Rider is called Rider because he was Sylvia's rider. And Brad Starlight is named Brad. If you hear the name Brad Starlight, are you really going to believe he's a jerk? No. Brad Starlight is named after how he wants us to see him. Okay, if you hear the name Brad Starlight and you hear him talk 2 seconds, you're going to figure out he's a jerk. But I digress. We are only talking about their names. So we have Wander, which is named after what he does. And we have Hater, which is named after what he feels. Actually, he probably also name it after what he does. But mostly what he does is hate everything, including himself. So it's named after his feelings. And then we have Beavers, which is named after how he looks like. And this is funny because Hater and Beaver are actually named after their weakness. No, seriously. Do you really believe that Hater will not be the greatest in the galaxy if he will not try to be the greatest in the galaxy if he wasn't because his self-hatred? But do you really believe if he wasn't so much as an immature teenager and trying to net respect from absolutely everybody because he hates everything, he will be not doing it better? After all, apparently Dominator do not have that problem, because she's had the good things from Hater, which is her powerful suit, and she had the good things for Wander, which is her kind of stricter persona. If you notice, she was ignoring Wander, and that made him somewhat mad because he was trying so hard to be nice and he wasn't getting anything. So she's a jerk. And I'm pretty sure. I'm not saying that someone is ignoring Wander, but it is not Wander, and Wander should be feel bad. It probably Wander. The worst thing that Wander expects from nice people when he's trying to be nice from them is just an apology and telling him, I can't because I don't like it. And he will say, okay, and we'll part ways. Because he's like that. Talk to him. Seriously. So he's defined for what he does. He's defined for what he wanders around. It's funny because when you think about Wander, you don't really think about a wanderer. You know, he's a nomad. He moves around, and some people are trying to figure out that maybe he's a species is a nomad. If you notice, Wesley technically a nomad too, after his encounter with Wander. So I don't think if we ever going to see Wander species doing anything. I really don't think it's a species thing. It's something he chooses to do. And yeah, I'm using Wesley for a point there. Because there's a thing, humans, we were nomads, but humans, we also are sedentary, and some people like to move around, and other people like to stay in the same place. Some people like to meet everything and have an experience and create a somewhat interesting life about knowing everything. And other people like to believe that other people like to build the things that the wanderers are needing. There's a give and take. I don't think it's going to be going to be a good fight to believe that wanderer species is a wanderer, because we humans we are nomad and we are sedentary, and we don't make a second thought when we notice that kind of thing. Now you're going to tell me, well, yeah, but animals usually do that thing. Yeah, but we usually make different species of animals depending on how they look like. So this is I have 4 dogs at my house. No, 5. 2 of them are mine, because I found them on the streets, and they love and they are so cuddly. I don't know. Maybe they're Wanderer's reincarnation, and I'm Sylvia, or my parents are Sylvia. I don't know, because they run away and they come back because they like to have adventures. They're not going around helping people because they are dogs, but they run away and they come back, wet, completely wet. And after that, they go to the sand and move around, and it's somewhat frustrating to me. But it's the one so frustrating because I don't know. In certain way, it's like well, this is not particularly secure for them. But at the same time, I don't know. It's going to be even more difficult to me. So I let them free. Now I really believe that I'm not doing something right with those girls. I'm pretty sure they need more love than what they're actually receiving. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm able to give that much love. So, yeah, I'm wondering if I'm a good dog owner. They're healthy. I get them to the veterinary. But I don't know if they want to cuddle more. I wanted to have them inside, but my mom doesn't want to because they have smell superpowers. And I understand that. She doesn't want to feel bad every time she enters everywhere. So, yeah, that's okay. So, Wander is named after what he does. But the funny thing is, since it's not his weird name, we have 2 options. Or he decided to call himself Wander, so he could be defined by what he does, or somebody else named him Wander because for what he does. The point is, he's defined for the impact he leaves in the universe. Despite his naming after the only thing that I really not used to completely to describing him in short. And this is the funny thing. He's named after the only thing that really is not that important about his character. The fact he moves around and wanders around, it like for explain why they don't go to the same place twice. But at the same time, it's not really that the most important part of Wander. The most important part of Wander is the fact that he's an optimist, he's an idealist, and he loves and respects everything. And maybe that's the reason that led him to wander around. But at the same time, I'm defining him for what he feels, and he wants. Oh, somebody decided that he has to be defined for what he does. And what he does is help people and traveling around. So maybe I should start to describe him like that. So Lord Hater is defining for his hate. He is defining for what he feels. So he's a very hearty character. He's a very immature. He's very out there. And people really define it by his for what he looks like, which is his physical stature. And this is important about Peeper. Despite that Peeper is not named Shorty, he's the shortest he's the shortest character in the show. And before you're going to tell me, yeah, but all watchdogs are short. Peepers is shorter than the normal watchdog. And I'm not making this up. If you go to my Tumblr, maybe I could put a link in the description for that. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a link in the description. If you go to Tumblr, you're going to find some reference sheets, some official reference sheets. Wait, I have to pay the toll. So I was saying, Peepers is defined for how he looks like, and I was about to explain that in fact Peepers is the shortest of the watchdogs, which appears in the official document from their size comparison. But why I don't know if really is that document is completely definitive. Because in that document, Sylvia was a bit taller than Lord Hader, and that doesn't look right to me. I think or either Hader got bigger or Sylvia got smaller. And then after that they explain the lava theory, which for some reason only applies to Wander, Sylvia, and Hader, and Peepers is not really there, but. So we have the watchdogs, we have Peepers, which is the smaller of the watchdogs. Okay, Wesley maybe is smaller, but Wesley is not as smart as Peepers. So call my attention that Peepers is literally named after how he looks like, while his most impressive asset is the fact that he's smart. In the fact he's somewhat cool and manipulative, but at the same time he's not. At the same time he's insecure, like Hader. Yeah, but the difference is the fact that while Hader wants to be respected by the whole universe, Peepers is searching validation from Hader. So it's that kind of way. And that caught my attention that Hader and Peepers are literally named after the things they do bad. And probably it's because they let themselves to be defined by the things they do bad. They let their feelings to be the ones who manage their world, their movement, what they do. The reason of why Wander can manipulate Hader is not as much as Wander is being a trickster, being a karmic trickster. It's part of that. It's the fact that Hader cannot stop stop hating a guy who doesn't fear him. And quite frankly, Wander actually fears him a lot. And I'm pretty sure he respects him. But at the same time, and I think I say it a couple of times in Tumblr, the Wander is a guy who respects everything and love everything until further notice. Just Wander will start loving you and trusting you until you betray that trust, because he really believed that bet is a risk, is a calculated risk. It's worth doing it. He knows that you can be the greatest asshole in the world and completely betray his trust. But hey, so Wander lets himself to be idealistic because we have Sylvia, which is the only character out of the four that is not named after something. Sylvia is actually a name. It means from the forest, which really doesn't think it has anything to do with anything, because the people doesn't really name their characters after the meaning of their names. Maybe, I don't know. sometimes they do reference, but depend on it literally depends on the size of the reference. For example, I have this story I always develop, but I never get to do anything with them. I just like the characters. They are based on my family. But the first character I created was me, and the character which is supposed to be my sister. They are not me and they're not my sister anymore. They are themselves. So they are characters. I have these two characters, so I created some characters to get along with them. And one of the characters I created was a friend which is inspired. It was a friend which is inspired another friend of mine. I called him Alex. But the great thing about that is the fact that my dad is called exactly like my friend. So I put this character, Isa's Kun, Isa. Dad's name was Alejandro, which is the longest version for Alex. You can see where this thing is going, right? So you can make up this kind of references. For instance, if you do a very Lovecraft inspiring story, and you name some of your characters with the last name Carter or Randolph, I know what you did there. But at the same, so most people do that, but I don't see them actually find them the meaning of their names and putting the characters, naming the characters after that, or else for some extremely weird reason, Candace will be the queen of the purest of hearts. Candace means queen of whiteness. Yes, and Phineas, look at this thing up. Phineas means mouth of a snake. And this is extremely weird. Mean mouth of a snake, not in the sense that actually mean the mouth of a snake. It's an oracle represented by a snake. So Phineas means what the oracle, which is represented by a snake, said. I wish I could make up that. I really wish I could make up that up. But the one that I actually always get explained is not really Phineas. But Ferb, because Ferb is technically not a name, which I digress. It's a name as long that you are named after that. So it's a name. So Ferb, short of verbs, which is named after a good friend of the creators, who was called Frank. But the wife of this person didn't like that name, so she called him Ferb. So we're gonna get in. This is not something I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to explain that I don't think that Sylvia really has Sylvia as a name, as the sixth letter word is. It's really something that actually matters, because if you have a complete show with all the characters I named after things or verbs, why you gonna have one of your names having a normal sounding name if you're going to be cryptic about it? Because this is the most important thing about Wander Over Yonder. Because Wander Over Yonder do not explain their metaphors, but they're completely plain. Meaning that you can detect that Wander and Sylvia are supposed to be yin yang or one another, They supposed to be complementary, to the point that their designs are actually complementary, and the artists in the series are encouraged to find ways to always have Sylvia or Wander fill in the negative space of the other, because that's their personalities too. In the writer, you can hear Wander and Sylvia pointing out that that what Sylvia does for Wander and what Wander does for Sylvia. So not to think that I think I'm creating. The personalities are complementary. Their design are complementary. So it's really made to be that all the episodes about Wander and Sylvia, but only them, are not really about helping someone and some conflict between them, but mostly because there are it's pretty much an internal conflict between two points of view which are different, because Sylvia is the cynic, so you have to win her trust, while Wander is the idealistic, which means the only way you cannot have his trust is because you did something horrible and you lost it. So we have Sylvia, which is always looking around and trying to figure out how people will probably damage you, and how to keep herself safe when Wander's going around believing that the risks if we're taking, that there's an opportunity. He sees the opportunity. He sees the good thing that could happen. He never sees the bad thing that will happen because he chooses to not see them. But the main reason, but he knows that this is a extremely dangerous thing. He literally say, and when you invariably get yourself into trouble, she's always going to be there to bail you out. So yes, Sylvia's main job is keep Wander alive. But this is the main problem I do have with simplifying the explanation of the relationship of what Sylvia gives to Wander and Wander gives to Sylvia. It's because if you simplify this match, you're going to get to a point that you're going to believe that Wander is abusing her, and I understand why you're going to believe that. I already tried to explain that in a mini-sode. But the principal point of Wander Over Yonder is the fact that you really strongly simplify them. That's why their relationship between the relationship of Wander trying to live the life the better you can, helping the most people possible, and leaving all the opportunities around, and while Sylvia is protecting herself with that extremely hardcore she has. It's the fact that the series acknowledge that you need both, despite that they're going to tell you that being positive is really a good thing and you should try it a lot, but at the same time the series completely acknowledge that it's extremely difficult to do and extremely dangerous to do. So that's why Sylvia is there, for demonstrate that you sometimes need to be strong, that you sometimes need to distrust, that sometimes you have to follow your instincts, and sometimes you don't have to get along with some things. Because Wander left himself completely vulnerable to absolutely everything, and he do that knowing it, because he knows Sylvia complete him. He knows that Sylvia has everything he doesn't have, but Sylvia doesn't see that too much. But that's the main conflict from the writer, which comes from. She wants to do something that Wander is not giving to her, So she complained and tell him what's happening. And before Wander could actually solve the thing, Ryder appears. And this is probably the most important part about the Ryder, in the fact that it's not really easy for absolutely anyone, including Sylvia, figure out what Wander gives to the relationship. And what Wander gives to Sylvia in the relationship is all the opportunities she will never have by being completely protected by her core. All the people she's not going to meet if she doesn't give enough of a chance. But even more important is all the things that she is, that she can be, but even her doesn't see that from herself, because that core is also from herself in a way. So Wander gives Sylvia the opportunity to explore the things she wants to protect behind the core, and let some of those things loose and explore life and be happy, and not really living just for survive, but living. And it's difficult to see because we as an instinct, we are geared to survive. But we are humans. We are geared to be happy, and we have to survive first. We have to fill up our basics in the model of triangle. But at the same time, if you don't get to the point of the pyramid of needs, you also need that. So yeah, you can see it can look like Wander doesn't give anything to the relationship, which is really not something that is actually true. But this is the problem with Wander, having a character doing the thing that everybody believes that you're to eat a face and you're going to pass out. Because this is the most important part of him being an adult and not a kid. It's not really because he chooses to be positive. It's not really he's fighting the fight, but the most important part of him being an adult is the fact that the series itself is telling you that this is not a phase, and this is not something you have to grow up as. Because all the characters that are this incredibly optimistic are guys which come from the place in which they haven't lived anything. But Wander comes from a place that he actually had lived a lot, and he decided that being like that is worth it. And this is probably the fact that so if you have all the experience and you have all this life, and everybody's going to tell you, yeah, but you have to take care of a ton of other things. Well, Sylvia's for that, and Wander knows that. So we're going to understand why it's so difficult having Wander and keeping Wander alive. But at the same time, we're not going to understand that Wander is giving Sylvia a life to live, an experience to tell, something that she will remember and she will not feeling guilty of. He sees the best in her because she's, for Wander, is the most wonderful person in the world. But at the same time, he believes that the world is less without that wonderful person. So if he has to be annoying and he has to be saved by her several times, but if that will mean that Sylvia is going to be the better person, and that means that he could give not also his love to the world, but also give Sylvia to the world, and they will give the world to Sylvia. I don't know. I already say that I love this show. That it has so many layers over layers over layers. and they're pretty in their face about what all those layers mean. And I mean, their design are really yin yang, and it's like they complement each other personality wise and design wise. So if you go around and you tell me that Wander give nothing to the relationship, I cry full. But the problem I do have with the season 2 in this moment is the fact that season 2 doesn't seem to be too interested in explore Sylvia and Peepers more than in how they work in having a relationship with the kind of fools. So while we're not going to really explore Hader's backstory, with they having it set on stone already, and we're not going to really explore Wander backstory ever, I really hope that we get some hints about what make anyone, because I started to realize if exploring Hader and Wander psychologically, which is pretty much what the only thing what had happened in all this episode, and it says the Wanderers is not about Sylvia, it's about Wander. Okay. If we're not going to have Sylvia and people explore more psychologically, but we're going to have them from the point of view of their relationship with the other person. And probably that's the main reason of why Sylvia is now trying to diet it. I'm about to get to my sister's house. If Sylvia doesn't have a meaningful name, it's because she's most of the time defined for her relationship with the other people. So other people decide to define her. They are free to define her of how they want to define her. But Sylvia is not going to accept the define on everybody, because that her cynic carcass is about, after all. So Wander wants to be defined for what he does, so for what he gives to the world. Hader is defined for what he feels, because he let himself be defined by that. And Peepers is defined for his body, which is at the same time a way to say being defined for what he feels, because for which other reason you're gonna let yourself be defined by your body structure. But Sylvia is completely free to be defined any way. You can define her any way you want, but she's not going to accept the definition you gave to her, because she's Sylvia and she's awesome. I can put the thing in neutral terms, because if I try to put the thing in neutral terms, everybody is going to believe something bad about whatever is going on, and this is not going to be any good for pointing out anything about Sylvia. So really, it's not like I just have a problem trying to enter to my sisters. So I really don't know what I'm going to do. Right now, I think I'm going out of town. It's getting tall. I'm getting out here. My poor car. Okay, I'm actually somewhat concerned about defining Sylvia as you get to choose how to define her, because that probably will mean that she's weak, but she's not weak, and that's the point. She is the awesomest person in the universe, at least according to Wander, and I completely agree with him. So the most important part you have to understand about Sylvia is the fact that she's not going to accept what you say about her, but that doesn't mean she's devoid of something that defines her. So at the end, what must define her is the fact that she doesn't let anyone to decide for her. But the only problem when we have to not let anyone to decide for her what he can be is the fact that he doesn't let even herself to decide what she wants to be. And for Wander, Sylvia is the greatest person in the world. and he wants only to share the greatest person in the world to the universe. And if that means we have to make her in a trial to get her to be the greatest thing in the galaxy, oh my God, he's going to do it. And then don't going to tell me that I'm putting my own feelings into Wander. He literally have a cheerleader version of himself, which the main thing he does is tell Sylvia that she's awesome. We're having a problem right now, and I don't really know if you can actually hear me because this thing collapsed like some moments ago. But we're gonna finish this. So in conclusion, I love Sylvia, and I'm pretty sure Wonders love her back. And we have a ton of earthquake here in Chile, and it's kind of embarrassing sometimes. So, said that, and take care of you wonderful people.